One, and we're recording. Welcome everybody to the fifth and hopefully the final session where we finally get done My Merchants of Mars, the beta test from Modiphius for the John Carter of Mars role-playing system. That hopefully, I think the core book is supposed to be coming out in July 2018, and I just saw on the Kickstarter where the Pledge Manager should be coming live within the next 2 weeks. So fingers crossed, because then you can go and buy extra stuff. Players, you just want to, starting like, I'm not sure how you guys appear on the screen, but to me I have Pamela, Tanza, Zax, and Patterson. So if you want to start with Pamela and go down in that order, just introduce yourselves and say just a brief little description of your character. And we'll get going.
Frankly, I think Modiphius should offer a costume option for if you get a high enough pledge, they will send you a male or female costume.
So what?
That'd be awesome.
I lost track of that. What happened with? Because I made a pledge. What happened with that?
The next step is to do a pledge manager. So they went and they collected all the pledges, and now they'll do the pledge manager where you can add on to any of the items that perhaps wasn't included in the pledge level that you selected. And then once they do that, then they'll go ahead and do the orders to the manufacturers in China or wherever, and then they'll have I think it's a multi-stage distribution. And the plan, from what I've read, is that in July they're going to be sending out at least the core books, like the published material, and the minis will take longer.
Cool.
That's my understanding, and it could be wrong. And if Modiphius people actually listen to this, which they probably don't, since I only have 8 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and thank you to those 8 people, they can put a comment in the YouTube description. So yes, please do introduce yourself, starting with Pamela, and we'll get going on this.
I'm Paula. I play Paloma. I'm the diplomat of the group.
Tanza?
I'm Tanza Dijon. I am I'm the daughter of a lesser jad in helium. Funky, well-read, and very much interested in aliens. Cough, Jasomians. Cough.
Great. Zax?
Sure. I'm Dane, and I play Zax. I'm a captain and dator of an airship, and I am really wanting to get back home.
And we'll just add that Dax is our sole firstborn member of the crew.
Are you sure he doesn't? Are you sure that he doesn't have older siblings?
Well, Barsumi and hard humor there. But bump. And Patterson.
So I'm Max. I'm playing Patterson Brood, Earthman from the Great War, found himself on Barsoom, and now trying to make the best of a tough situation, and is rather taken with Tanza.
Great. And we are missing Chad, who plays our token Okar, yellow Martian. He is on a mission to find a kidnapped Okarian scientist, and he's starting in Zodanga because Zodanga has such a bad reputation for assassin guilds and the underworld criminal organizations that would gladly take that kind of commission to go ahead and kidnap someone from the North Pole and bring them down for whatever nefarious intentions. So that is Chad, usually played by Norm. So I will, because we can't actually get him logged into Roll20, he's going to be run as an NPC by me. We'll see if Chad lasts today. We also have Had, who was a third pre-generated character who's a red Martian who left his city in disgrace, and he is a duelist and was his bodyguard who had his patron slayed, so he's now in shame looking for adventure and the rest of Barsoom to rebuild his reputation and his life. Those are our character roster. And last time the characters found themselves transported into an ancient ruin well beneath what ended up being the destroyed palace of Sabthan, that was destroyed during the first book, Princess of Mars, and was left they didn't rebuild it. It was left as a monument to the Zedanga, a reminder not to cross Helium or the Thark nations ever again. And as they came out of that particular ruin of the palace, they saw the city of Zedanga spread out before them, and you can see the map on your screen of Zedanga with some red notations. So you saw that the Sabthan Palace was in the northeast of the city, and sorry, just adjusting my screen so I can actually show you guys some stuff. Yes, the northeast of the city, here where the blue ping is, and the party made its way across the city thanks to a map that Pamela had in her diplomatic harness. They knew where to locate the central market down in kind of the southwesterly section of the city where the blue ping is. And they had a little bit of a brush with the law, the Zedanga City Patrol, as they were going past the noble section, because Tanza's helium metal attracted the attention. And obviously anyone from Helium, the Zedangans don't bear any great love for them. The party made it to the central market and decided to go to a local eatery, the Silver Bath Palace. And if you zoom in, you can see it just to the northeast of the central market. And there,
I had to pretend that I had lost my papers by falling into the water.
Yes, that's right. And you guys are all mucky, so that covered why you're all dirty from crawling through the rubble of the palace. So now some of you sat together, some of you didn't. Chad had paid a waiter for information using one of the gems from the disintegrated Ovarian princess that had not survived stepping off the teleportation platform. So you guys had harvested her accoutrements of jeweled weapons, harness, a head dress, and various gems. And Norm had used that in good stead. That particular informant informed you that there's a group of rough-looking fellows in the corner that everyone steered clear of. That was actually a group of one of the nefarious criminal groups, gangs that actually run the city, the Hand. And chief among those was the leader, Karth Val Ab, who seemed to be kind of like a godfather-like figure with his gang, the Hand, and they were having lunch, and the owner of the restaurant was catering to them. This guy seems to have been someone that with a lot of prestige and authority in this city. They got up and were departing after their midday meal, and Zax had noticed someone at the bar where Zax had placed himself, and this fellow was eyeing up Tanza, particularly her harness, and was keeping quite a close watch on her and her comrades at the table where she was sitting with Pamela, Patterson, and Tanza. And I think Had went off on his own. And Zax took steps to dissuade that person's interests, and that person revealed that he was one of the Jadak of Zedanga's agents. And Zax managed to convince him that he was an assassin and that they were his targets, and the agents better stay out of his way. I think those are the major plot points. Anyone want to add anything important that I missed?
Nope, I think that's everything.
Okay, so we're running a 2D20 system. Again, I'm not going to get into all the big rules and stuff. You guys know the rules mostly, where we have the 6 traits. Almost every action is going to be a test of those traits, and with target numbers. And as we play along, anyone who's watching will get the hang of it. The big things I just want to remind you of You'll see on the screen above your names the amount of luck you have and the amount of momentum that you have. Again, momentum is like buying yourself advantage. It's momentum you can use to purchase a lot of different things, including extra D20s when you're making a roll. It can buy extra damage dice when you've actually hit an enemy and you really want to make sure they pay in blood. It can also buy you some advantages in combat. And those advantages are you could use momentum to move further than your regular speed. You can use momentum to ignore obstacles. Say if Patterson was on a foot chase through the central market, he could use momentum to leap over a caravan of carts that was in the way of him and his target. You could use it to disarm an opponent. You can use it to kill an opponent's minion. And you can also use momentum to recover stress. Now, they call health stress in this system, and you have 3 different pools of stress in the system. And when you click on your particular token, which on this map we don't have right now because we're looking at the city and we're doing a lot of theater of the mind in the city. But there's 3 kinds of health/stress. There's confusion, fear, and injury. And when we get into a situation where that becomes applicable, we'll get more into it. The other big thing I just want to remind you folks of is your use of luck. Luck is akin to inspiration in D&D. You can use it to regain a lot more health than what momentum can get you. You can use it to get an automatic 2 successes to any particular test you're trying to do. And you can actually use it to change the narrative if it makes sense in the narrative. And you can actually use it to get information from me, the GM. So again, as far as your interface, on the right-hand side, you see the dialog box. If you hit the little newspaper icon, you will see all the handouts. And under the handouts, you'll see the characters and the quick start rules. So if you're wondering more, players, as we're going along about momentum and momentum spends, you can see under the journal tab and scroll down to the quick start rules, you can see a section there called momentum spends and momentum. So if you want to refresh your memory before you get into any hijinks in Zodanga, that's probably a good thing to have on hand as a good reference.
Hijinks in Zodanga. I feel like that could be the great name of a parody novel.
Yeah, it could. So I think we just left off with the hand entourage departing the restaurant. Oh, yes, and Zax is kindly going to track our momentum through the chat box. And I'll just make sure we have we can see that clearly on our YouTube's recording screen, so that's great. Okay, so players, these guys have just left the restaurant. They're just opened the door and walked out. What would any of you like to do, if anything?
Just a clarification question. Chad has come back from speaking to his informant. Is he back at the table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the informant is like, oh man, this gem's I quit. F you all, walked through the kitchen, told the manager to F himself, and was out the door. High-fiving everybody as he left. But Chad has returned to the table since then and shared the information he got. So everyone at the table knows that the main dude of that group of men is Karth Van App, the godfather of the Had criminal gang. I'm not sure Zax would know that, and Had wouldn't know that because they're not at the table.
Right. Well, okay. I think I'm gonna do something. I don't know. Do we have food at our table?
Yeah. Well, you guys did have a waiter come and serve you guys, and you have already paid. So
I didn't remember if we had actually ordered.
Yeah. And that's how Chad had gotten the waiter, right? So when the waiter had brought you food, Chad had approached the waiter, and the waiter took him in the back storage room, and Chad paid him off for money. For that gem, sorry. So you guys have been in the restaurant for probably at least an hour and a half during the midday meal rush. So it's packed with folks, men and women.
Well, I'm gonna excuse myself, and this is my character, that is.
Okay.
And I'm headed to the bathroom. I need to clean up. I kind of still, I still have some dirt streaked all over, so I'm gonna try and clean up a bit.
Okay.
And
So
Zax is going to. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it's about say 2 in the afternoon, ish, Barsoom Noon time.
I don't know how a restaurant here is going to be very different from an Earth restaurant, but I won't follow her straight away. But just after she's kind of got up, I'll wait maybe half a minute, and then I won't go all the way obviously to the bathroom with her, but I'll kind of go to an area of the restaurant that's a little bit more in that direction, just in case anyone follows after her.
Oh, before I go, I lean over to Patterson, and I tell him I know that the bathrooms here probably operate very differently. Basically, I teach you how to use the 3 seashells. If y'all get that joke.
Demolition Man, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Basically, if you don't know how to use the facilities, because I realize this is how they work.
Okay. Well, I'll sort of wait, like the awkward guy waiting outside the girls' room. So I'll kind of stand guard, as it were.
Okay.
I'm gonna excuse myself to Chad and walk out the restaurant following the group, the entourage.
Okay, and what do you actually say to Chad? Do you want him to come with you, or do you want him to wait?
I just tell him that basically,
because he's, to be honest, he's of the mind to go with you.
Oh yeah.
Because he wants to know, like he has his mission to recover this Okarian scientist, and so if these guys can lead him to where, so he's of the mind to go with you.
Okay. I just tell them that I'm going to follow them and see where their home base is. If you want to come, or you can stay.
Okay, and he's like, absolutely, let's go. Okay. And he looks at Zax, gives Zax a wink, looks up at Had, gives Had a wink, and follows you out.
Well, before he does that, Zax stands up and grabs him by the arm and relays the conversation with the spy from the Jedak, and says, you're supposed to be our master of disguise. You need to do something about Tanza and her helium ornaments, or we're not going to get anywhere near our targets.
Well, since I'm in the bathroom, this would be the time. This would be the time for somebody to come and, knock me over the head with, like, you gotta look more disguisey, basically.
Is it that Tanza's reluctant to remove them? Because I can't quite remember, or is it that we just haven't been able to obtain another set?
It's just that I'm a little dense on the pickup. So no, it's just if somebody has a problem with them, they should definitely come and say, "Hey, Heliumite, you need to tone it down a little bit, or else you're gonna get our ass fried."
So can I see if there's someone who's really, really drunk that's passed out, or perhaps had a little bit too much blowac, who's quite high?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to.
Yep.
Go ahead and roll then. Let's see here. What's a good thing to roll? Reason and empathy, so that you can read the person. So reason for being able to scan, and empathy for being able to pick up on the cues that someone may be inebriated. And then using your values of each will be your tests. Your target number. And again, just as a refresher, your left-hand toolbar has the dice roller.
Yep, got it.
And if you want to add momentum to increase your odds to buy you another d20 to roll, you could. And just make sure
I
you have
will.
the target number symbol set up with the larger end pointing towards 14 or whatever your number is. So what is your number? So again, it's going to be reason and empathy added together.
Yeah, 9.
Okay. So in your dice roller, go ahead and put 9 in the target number and make sure you have that V on the side with the wide end pointing towards 9.
It, and I've got 2d20, right?
Yep. Unless you want to beef it up by spending momentum.
Oh, I have. So with that, I thought that gave me 2. No, so that would give me 3.
You spent the momentum?
Yeah, I dumped it down for you. I did ping around it.
Fantastic. So then up your roll 3 D20s then. Right, and I see it, and I will get rid of it. There we go.
Fantastic.
So why are you looking for somebody who's drunk?
Or had too much hot shisha pipe type stuff.
Well, this is a busy restaurant on the very, it's right in the central market.
Yeah.
So you do see an older woman with what looks to be 2 younger males with her that appear to be bodyguards. She seems more richly, more wealthy accoutrements, and she seems to have been taking a little bit too much drink with her lunch. She seems a little bit wobbly on her feet, and she actually has gotten up from her chair and is moving towards the ladies' restroom. Towards you, Patterson.
I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna sort of follow her and start chatting some nonsense to her in kind of. I might appear slightly drunk myself, and then when she comes, I'm gonna kind of follow her into the ladies' room, and when she does, I'm gonna basically kind of say, "You guys need to swap your harnesses." I'm not gonna knock her out. That seems a bit brutal, but I'm gonna kind of grab her gently, and because she's kind of half out of it, so I'm gonna say, "Right, Tanza, you've got to swap clothes with this person."
Ah, I see. Getting me a disguise.
I'm just gonna kind of appear with my kind of.
Okay, let's have you roll if you're able to subdue her. So let's say you're coming in behind her and grabbing her mouth so she doesn't scream, or what are you doing?
Depends how gone she is. I mean, it may be that I can even just like put her arm around mine or mine around hers and just kind of gesticulate her in that way, depending on how far gone she is. Just be like, "Oh, it's all right," and. But if she's kind of a bit more with it and she's going to resist, I might have to subdue her slightly. Yeah.
Right. And just as a note, just looking at Zach's note in the corner, you only needed 1 success to have spotted that lady, so that momentum that you use, you can now regain. So go ahead and draw it off the momentum pile. Draw 1 back if you haven't done it already.
Wait, am I rolling too?
No.
Okay.
Let's finish up Patterson's roll for the drunk person first. So Patterson, make sure you get that momentum from your 2 successes from looking for a drunk person. Make sure you've updated your momentum. And so now if you're
kind of staring at him like, what are you doing? What in the name of Issos is God going through your head now?
Okay, so Patterson, you said you don't want to knock her on the head. What did you want to do as far as, because this lady's she's not, fall down drunk. She's had a little too much. She's been able to make it on her own feet to the bathroom.
Okay, I'll cover her mouth and I'll say, "Stay calm and there'll be no problems. You could benefit from this. Just follow me."
Okay, so we need you to do a roll to see if you successfully subdue her that way. So let's see
if she can understand what I'm saying, because I'm doing my best here. But
okay, and we're going to give you a DC of 2 then. So roll cunning and roll, I guess, daring to see if you can slip in behind her, get her into the bathroom, and subdue her quickly enough with a DC of 2.
So I'll spend a momentum.
Okay.
That's one momentum.
So what's your target number?
The target number is still going to be the same. And how am I gonna add the DC? How am I doing that? I just need to. I don't, do I? You work it out. So
yeah. So you're gonna have what, target number 9, rolling 3. Yeah, great, 1 success, and so you needed 2. So she, although you grab her and usher her into the room, she manages to let out a yelp before you're able to get your hand over her mouth. Okay?
Okay.
And that means you can hear steps running, a shout in the main dining room as her 2 companions hear the yelp.
Oh, you can? Sorry, Zax was just telling me something. I didn't know you could spend that many. Never mind.
You can spend up to 5 you can have a dice pool of up to 5 d20s to increase your successes. But you've already used.
No, it's fine. I thought there was a limit to that. That's fine.
Yeah, there is a limit. You can only roll for any test. You can only roll max 5 d20s.
Yeah, I thought it was less than that, but that's cool.
Yeah. So really, the difficulty is because she's not completely inebriated. She's a little bit tipsy for sure with lunch.
Yeah,
she's a lady that lunches. She was able to get on her own feet into the room, but also she had 2 bodyguards with her too, right? And they're obviously paying attention to where her comings and goings is. She's a wealthy patron, so that's why the DC of 2. Unfortunately, you failed it, and so a shout and the sounds of boots on the floor coming down the hall. You've got a couple seconds before they come.
Okay. Whose kind of harness is worth more, Tanza's or this person's?
Worth more?
Probably this.
Well, Tanza's a princess of Helium. This is just a wealthy noble woman, so I'd say Tanza's is probably more ornate. But go ahead, Tanza. Yes or no?
I was thinking the state that my harness is in. I mean, it does not look very good at this state. And this is, a lady who comes in here often, and she's probably very clean. Her harness is probably looking a lot better than mine is at this point. I don't think that mine is looking very good.
So I'll tell Tanza, speak to this woman and convince her somehow, anyhow, bribe her, whatever you've got to do. Convince her that you need to switch harnesses, and I'll watch out for these 2 guys that are coming this way.
I look at him like the brains on Justune must be very weird, especially the male brain, the male Justinian brain. I just don't understand the male Justinian brain. So I try. I'll give a stab at it.
Okay, please roll. Please roll. Let's see, empathy and passion for trying to charm this lady into not freaking out, I guess, and convincing her to switch harnesses with you.
See, I have 1 momentum.
Okay.
So I'm going to use that. So 3 20s, empathy, and reason. So,
well, it's going to be empathy and passion.
Oh, empathy and passion.
Yeah, you can never choose more than 2 traits, but you can add a d20 to your roll instead of the normal default 220.
So 12.
So, yeah, so what is your empathy is 7, your passion is 5, so 12 is your target number, rolling 3. 3 d20s.
Yep, and the mouth is pointing towards the left, right? And the arrow is pointing towards the left, right?
The arrow is to the left, the mouth is to the right, and the mouth it should be close to the 12.
Okay.
Oh, okay. And a 1 is a double success, so you've had 4 successes. and you only needed, I'd say, I should say the DC is going to be 2. So you've met the 2 successes to meet the challenge, and you have generated 2 momentum. So if you're speaking to her, let's say that you've approached her as far as a granddaughterly thing, and you fast talked her into,
Please, I need your... My horrible sister played this terrible prank on me. She left me this heliumide harness. It was the only one in the house, and now... And now, if my betrothed finds me dressed like this, he'll think I've turned traitor. My sister. She's such a horrid creature. She's always jealous of me. She's jealous of my betrothed, jealous of my Calad, jealous of everything. She should have been a guardian. She should have been eaten by Issus. She's so horrid.
Yes, and as you can see, I was only serving my mistress as best as I could. I'm sorry for this transgression. And I sort of bow.
Okay, and just at that moment, the 2 bodyguards come slamming into the washroom, and they see you, Patterson, and they slam into you and pin you against the wall. And the old lady's looking kind of disorientated towards Tanza, and she goes, "My, that just reminds me of my own sister. She was a bitch, my child. She was absolutely horrid. She stole the man that I wanted to be my chieftain, and that I was put into an arranged marriage with a cow of a husband. Thank God he died early. From a duel with an assassin master, who's quite cute, by the way. I totally feel for you, my dear. Oh, boys, calm down. Get your hands off that man. It's all fine." And she lets out a
bodyguard for my young friend here.
And she lets out a wee burp. Oh, pardon me, a little bit too much vino at lunch. Oh, my dear, I will help you in any way I can. Men, get out! And she motions and she hits them and she pats. Get out! Go back to the table. You're embarrassing me. Now, dear, she turns and takes Tanza's hand. You said you are in rough condition, aren't you? My goodness. She goes, I'll tell you what. I'll give you, and she goes to her own harness, I'll give you my 2 prime pieces. There you go. That's enough to get you about town with no problems at all, and it's nice and shiny. I'll just tell my maid. I've got thousands and thousands of medals for my harness, and it's quite fine. What's your name? Oh my God, I love your eyes. I love your hair. I like what you've done with it. It's a bit rough and tangly. That must be all the rage. My hair is quite, it's quite rough, and as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little bit tangy. But here you go, dear. Come, here. Here, let me help you. Let me fix up you. Oh my gosh, you need some makeup.
I shall turn away because an Earthman of that time wouldn't be having that, so he turns his back to the situation.
Well, she's actually pushed you out of the bathroom along with her 2 bodyguards, though.
Oh, along with them? Okay.
Yes,
no problem.
It's totally inappropriate for men to be in the ladies' room. Totally unacceptable.
No matter what planet you're on.
Okay, no problem then.
Okay, because you've done 2 successes on her, Tanza. You've totally won her over. So she has given you what you've asked for, her medals. So you now have the medals of a well-known noble house of Zedanga on your harness.
Nice.
Okay, and so in the meantime, this has taken about, 10 minutes to do. In the meantime, Pamela and Chad and Dax, you know what's going on now. So Chad shared his information with you. You shared your information with him. So we're just going to pause on the bathroom thing for a second. And so Pamela, Chad, and Zax. Zax, do you go with Pamela and Chad to follow the gangsters?
I would just walk outside the door and find kind of a space in the street there that I can kind of see the door and then kind of who's coming in. So I'm not going with Camilla. I'm just gonna keep an eye on the door to see if anybody's kind of going in, or if these people are causing a ruckus, and just being patient and waiting to jump into action if required.
So you gone out the street, or are you still in the restaurant?
No, I'm just going to go outside the street, find a place to kind of loiter and keep an eye on the front door and kind of what's happening in the street.
Okay. And Had comes up to you and he says, "What's going on?" And so let's say that you share all the information from Zax, from Chad and Pamela, and he sees Pamela and Chad down the avenue, and it's a busy avenue. It's midday of the Central Market, so it's packed with throngs of people and throats and carts and stalls. And he's like, Han says to you, "Well, I'll grab Patterson and Tanza and get them going and follow after you guys." So Had comes back to you, Patterson, and he passes the bodyguards, who seem kind of weird in the hallway, and he gives you a strange look, and he says, "Listen, we've got to go. Pamela and Chad are following those a group of gangsters. Zax is outside the front keeping watch, but we're gonna lose him."
I give the old lady a big hug and a tear and some throw a little water on my face so it looks like I was crying. Give her a big hug. "Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, Granny," or whatever the affectionate term is for an older woman, for a much older woman. "Thank you so much for your help. Come along, Brood. Brood, we must get out of here. We have to go."
Right. Yes, we must.
Okay.
So now I look much more Zodangan.
Yes. Okay, so Had leads the two of you out to the street to where Zax is. Zax, can you roll a perception to see if you were able to track with your eye which way Pamela and Chad went?
Okay. That would be what?
Reason and I don't know, passion or empathy, whichever one you want to do.
Or you were breaking up on that one.
Reason or passion or empathy. So reason for sure.
Yep.
And I mean, whichever stat you think or trait would work for empathy or passion.
I think we've been using reason and empathy for perception checks.
I actually think
it was passion.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
And let's say it's so again, it's the middle. I'm gonna really screw you on the difficulty. It's gonna be DC3 because there's so many people and creatures and everything. It's quite busy in this area.
I'm gonna spend 2 momentum and roll 4 then.
Okay. Yay! You meet the success. Yeah, you know you've kept an eye on it, very sharp eye, and you know exactly. You can see them kind of. They've gone down an avenue. They're not quite out of sight, so if you hurry, you can catch up to them. And so you've got you've got 4 successes, not 3. So you gain a momentum, correct?
Yeah, I get 2 back because you said it was 2 to succeed.
3.
Oh, 3. Sorry, yes, I get 1 back.
Yep. So you gain a momentum. Yep. Awesome. So the 3 come out the door.
I want to point down to them, but I don't. I want to kind of hang back and keep an eye. So I'm going to kind of point them in that direction, show them where they're going, let them get in front of me, and bring up the rear.
Okay. Okay. So you two, Patterson and Tanza and Had, you guys see, since Zax is giving you an advantage and pointed out, you see the back of Chad's head bouncing in the crowd, say about 2.5 blocks ahead of you guys. And it's very slow movement because it is a very crowded avenue.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
So sorry, I do apologise. I had a bit of lag there.
Okay.
One more time, can you explain the?
Sure. Had has just brought Patterson and Tanza out of the restaurant checked in with Zax, who has been keeping an eye on the direction that Pamela and Chad have gone down the crowded, busy avenue in the central market place. And so Zax had great success in keeping an eye on those. He has now pointed you in the direction. You can see the back of Chad's head in this thong of humanity that's going up and down these avenues. And they're about 2.5 blocks ahead of you.
Okay. So we wanna grab these guys, yeah?
Well, unless you want to split up the party and do something else, you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, Chad and Pamela are following the gangsters. They're trailing the gangsters. So if you guys don't want to keep up with them, but just remember, you don't have any other way of communicating with each other, right? You don't have a set rendezvous point. You guys haven't even discussed that. So once you lose Pamela and Chad, you may lose them forever.
Yeah, let's not split up the group. Let's just hurry after them. Keep up with them.
So I'll take Tanza's hand, and only because it's quite crowded, so I might lose her anyway. And then we'll I won't leap, because I think leap will bring loads of attention to me. But I'll just quite a fast run.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
And Had's gonna go off in front of you guys, because as soon as Zax tells him where, he's gonna go sprint up ahead of you guys if possible. So all 3 of us are gonna roll to see how we maneuver through this crowd. So daring is for movement, and let's use might to see how you can push through the throng of humanity as you're going through. And so I'm gonna roll for Had, because I have his stats right here. And I roll 2d and his target number. Again, I said daring and might. So he's got 13 for his target.